What up, y'all? Thanks for always watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button. A lot of y'all leave comments, which are dope, and I appreciate that. Just go back, double back, hit that like and subscribe so the algorithms can, send this out to everybody else that's into what we into. Peace. What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of What Words Are Worth. And today I got a phenomenal producer that can do your project from beginning to end. Make sure you got the right sounds, the right drums, the right bass line, the right beat, anything that suits your needs, from R&B to hip hop to whatever you need, they got it for you. We got the phenomenal super producer, PA Dre. Let's get it. The one and only PA Dre. What's up, brother?
Peace, man. Peace. Been a long time coming. We finally got it figured out. You know what I mean? We're supposed to do this a couple times.
For real. Man, I want to get into, I'm going to ask you some questions about just how you got started, so on and so forth. But more so, this is about the creative process because, a lot of times I think we take art for granted. Right? So if I see a painting on the wall, I might just oh, that's fire. Let me buy that or let me get that. But I don't think about the process. So
right.
I'm sure a lot of people that got your beats and your music and be like, when they come on, be like, yo, this is crazy. How you come up with it? They can kind of get some insight on how you come up with it from the passion you have for making music. So I'm excited to have you here and I appreciate your time.
Oh, thanks for having me here, bro.
Cool, man. So let's get to it, brother. So the name, of course, right? PA Dre.
Yeah.
Let's start there. Where does that stem from?
That's a good question. I like that. Well, it stands for Pennsylvania Andre,
okay.
Right? And I actually talk about this in the book that we're putting together.
Yeah.
So my name, before it was PA Dre, was Midas Touch, right?
Okay.
And it was like one of my OG friends or whatever like that. They had gave me that name, for my production and stuff like that. And so and there was a point in time I was living in Atlanta, right, in Stone Mountain, and there was this barbershop around the corner that I used to go to, and one of the barbers in there, and so I used to go there a lot to get my hair cut and do some other things. Right. But so like I said, so it was a barber in there, and his name was Dre, and so to cut confusion, call me PA Dre.
Yeah.
Right, and so I was after a while of me going to the barbershop and them saying that, I don't know, it just kind of stuck, and I was like, you know what, I like that because it's no matter, I'm here in Georgia at the time, I'm here in Georgia, and I'm still kind of a representation of where I'm from, and so It's okay, well, for one, I always wanted to have a name that incorporated my real name. Andre is my real name, obviously, but to at least have parts of my real name.
And, I think that's dope because hip hop, you first started out with kind of a name that's not yours, but then as time went on, man, it was just dope to use your name.
Right. So I always wanted that, and then it was just but I couldn't really think of a dope way to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that just happened naturally, and so like I said, that it stuck, and I'm like, you know what, I think I want to run with this because no matter where I'm at, this is I'm still representing where I'm from and also representing who I am, which is Andre. You know what I mean? I'm not like a gimmick or anything like that. This is me. You know what I'm saying?
And then, so that. Oh yeah, yeah.
No, I was just saying. So that's how the name came about.
So then, as you said, you was in Atlanta, and then coming from PA, you have your sound and these different influences when people listen to your music, right? So you might send me a beat and you might have a hook already on it, might be singing, might be a hip hop hook and everything. So to me, your sound when I hear it is, to me, I would say It's like the raw essence, maintaining the integrity, and then also at the same time, it's universal. So I don't
Right.
hear beat, I don't hear beat and be like, that's just gonna be an underground beat. I don't hear beat and
Right.
be like pop beat. I feel like whoever gets on it turns it into whatever world it goes to. So
Absolutely.
um how do you describe like where'd you get your sound from, maybe, and your influences?
Well, okay, so to go back just a little bit,
Yeah.
because I have to state this. Like, I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay. Okay.
You
Dope.
feel me? But I mean,
Yeah.
but I moved. I grew up in Pennsylvania. Like, I moved
Okay.
from Memphis when I was, but I was still like back and forth. It's like visiting or whatever. So that's where
Yeah.
my soul, like, that's where my soul comes from. My soul
Okay.
finish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but I moved from Memphis when I was maybe about 8. I think about 8 years old or something like that, and moved to Pennsylvania. But as far as the sound, I don't feel like I necessarily have like you were saying too. Like, I don't feel like I necessarily like have like one
Yeah.
particular sound, but what I will say, if I was to sum up like everything that I do or everything that I love, and or what people usually say about me, soulful.
Yeah.
So no matter what I'm doing, no matter what type of music that I'm working on, like say if I'm doing a whole album, you're gonna get some sort of soul out of it, because that's
Right.
just, it's natural for me, from my upbringing and things like that. So, but yeah, it's a soulfulness, man. Like, that's my thing. Don't nothing move me like that does.
So speaking of, like you said, your upbringing, and we talk about influences. What are some of the main influences towards the maybe the sound you have? Whether it's Memphis and then whatever it is as far as your travels, or what producers have
Okay,
influenced
all right. Well, just from the start, man, my pops, my mom too, but my pops, because he was a big time drummer in
you? Okay.
Memphis. You know what I mean? And so I was always around like the soul and the funk and stuff like that. And for me as a kid, I didn't realize like the people that was coming to my house. Like, I mentioned my dad. He plays the percussion on "Ring My Bells" by Anita Ward, and he plays the percussion on "Take Your Time" by the SOS Band. And then
So
my grandfather, he does the hi hat on the Shaft theme song. And so, this is just naturally like what I'm growing up around.
right.
And, so my dad, like, he used to have like rehearsals and things like that over at my house when I was a kid. We was in Memphis. And, it was a lot of like legendary people that used to be over, Shaka Khan and Barcades. Like, man, it was so many people that used to be over just at my house, just working with my dad, you know what I mean? And actually, like, Shaka Khan wanted my dad to be the drummer for her group, for her band, like when they was traveling and stuff like that. But he was loyal to the band that he already had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was natural like that for me, because I grew up around soul music. I'm hearing this all the time. Bobby Womack, like, what I mean, Al Green, all that, you know what I'm saying? My dad, he took, Isaac Hayes, like, my dad took me to Stack Studios when I was a kid in Memphis. You know what I'm saying? So as far as the soulful stuff, it's like I grew up just around that. Like, and I didn't know that would later on I was
Right.
going to even end up incorporating that into something of my own. But like, I grew up around it. But then as far as like producers, I would say, all right, so I would say Dr. Dre is like what Dr. Dre, like when I heard Dr. Dre, that's the Chronic album.
Yeah.
When I heard that album, that's what really like pulled me in to hip hop. You know what I mean? Um, before that, I was listening to, like, I guess you could say, like, the kid friendly rap or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like MC Hammer, you know what I mean? Vanilla Ice. But
Yeah.
my older brother John, like he used to sneak and let me hear some of the raw stuff. Like when my parents wasn't around and things like that, he would let me hear some of the raw stuff, you know what I mean? But he was older than me, so he would be out a lot, you know what I'm saying? And so I would only be able to like hear some of that. I remember one time he got a whooping, right? He got a whooping. My parents had him babysit me and my brothers, and we wasn't allowed to. Oh, this is crazy. So we wasn't allowed to listen to was it the Push It joint, Salt and Pepper,
Yeah.
right? We wasn't allowed to listen to that, and so my parents they had him babysit us, but he didn't know they was on the way home, and we sitting there in front of the TV watching the video. They come walking in the house. They see him with us right there at the TV watching the video. Man, they let him up real quick. You know what I mean? But you know, like it was like he would like let me get some of the raw stuff that was going on, like even like the NWA stuff. You know what I mean? So, but it was like when I started to really get into it on my own, when I heard the Chronic, you know what I'm saying? Like even then, like I had to kind of sneak to hear that, you know what I mean? But it was like at the time it was like, MTV, VH1, you know what I mean, they playing Dr. Dre videos.
Right.
And when I'm watching that, and I'm just like, man, like that it just did something to me, you know what I'm saying? And that like pulled me in. And really, so I started out not even necessarily like as a producer at first. Like I was in the rapping. Like I think a lot of producers start out like that too, as rapping.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I ask you about that type of stuff in here too, for sure. Yep.
Yeah,
I working with you, I didn't know about the rapping side neither, really. I learned that when we started working together, and I was
yeah,
like, "What?" And then we
yeah,
we did, joint together.
right.
But yeah,
And so, but yeah, so it started out like that for me, man. It was like it was rapping, and
who were
but
the
I was
rappers?
not
Who were the rappers that influenced you?
Dr. Dre and Snoop.
Oh, it was them doing
Yeah,
production and rapping.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. That's just like that captivated me. I'm like, yo, okay, like that made me really fall in love with like just culture, just hip hop thing. You
okay.
know what I'm saying? Like when they came out, because it was, oh, you know what? Okay, let me. So I don't want to get the time frames messed up, but crisscross.
Okay, yeah.
I was into that too. I was into the crisscross because they was kids. You know what I'm saying, and all
Yeah.
that. But they didn't make me like. I just enjoyed the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we all did. I think we all did. It was, I mean, hip hop was still pretty young then. So
Right, right. So I enjoyed the music, but that didn't necessarily make me like want to do anything. You know what I mean? But yeah, but it was the you know how it be like sometimes, man. Um, how can I word this? It's like the edgy stuff. You know what I mean? Sometimes when it's like things that you ain't supposed to do or things you ain't supposed to have, it's like it'll kind of pull you in because of that. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
Cool,
So
Coogee Rap, Coogee Rap is like my favorite rapper, and he rapped all about sex, drugs, guns, everything. I,
right.
I don't I don't rap in that vein, but the creativity and I love the edginess of the action, the audio action movie in some regards.
Right. The edginess. That's perfect. Perfect edginess. So it's like that was the thing. It was like the edginess as to what they were doing. I'm like, whoa,
Right.
can they say this? Like they, you know what I mean? It was
I,
just I don't know, man. It was just like something. And then when Snoop came out with his album, because like I was a big Snoop Dogg fan. Like,
right.
you know what I mean? And when he came out with his album, it just really solidified for me like the Dr. Dre and Snoop influence on me. You know what I mean? And so that made me like want to get into rap, you know what I'm saying? And made me want to rap and things like that myself. But the producing came like later on, maybe some years, maybe about 4 years later, 3 or 4 years later, producing thing came later on.
So
But
speaking of you becoming a producer later on and then having the rap influence, which I find kind of dope, is that I would have never thought that Dre and Snoop inspired you being on this coast and where
right,
these areas.
right,
You always think
right.
of it's gonna be an East Coast artist or East Coast person or producer that would inspire you, but it was so wild for you to say it was that side, that coast that inspired you to
Yeah,
what you're doing.
definitely, definitely.
Um,
Yeah,
so I wanted to get into one of the artists that you produce, RJ Payne, right? So you always, I would see you have to say RJ Payne's producer. So if people out there are familiar with RJ Payne, this is the guy behind that sound. I would probably say that initial sound of
yeah, yeah,
pain, right? So we
yeah,
all know it's soulful. The other thing that's beautiful about the production you would do for RJ Payne, it would be the right amount of like space to it for him to rhyme and not be overshadowed by the beats.
yeah.
So what was that like as far as I guess kind of like being part of that rise of the RJ Payne sound and everything when you started
Okay.
creating
All right. So before I answer that question, I
that?
want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Did I answer your previous question?
Yeah, you
Because you
spoke
did.
about Dre. You spoke about Dre and Snoop, in which I was like, I didn't know that Dre and Snoop from the West Coast, because when we grew up, we kind of had biases, right? I
Yeah,
live
yeah,
I live in this area, so whoever's in this area or this coast, I'm inspired to do that by them.
yeah,
So I didn't even think of were there people on the East Coast that were actually saying, yo, I want to rap because of Snoop. I just really never could fathom that, to be
yeah.
honest with you. This is the first time it made me think outside the box a little bit. As time went on, of course, because the game became such a national sport or such an international sport, now I can hear somebody be like, I can envision somebody say they grew up in let's say Brooklyn, but they started rapping because of Andre 3000.
Right,
You get what I'm
right,
saying? But at,
right,
at certain points, it was so divided at that time, roughly around that era of the Snoop, and you had the East Coast, West Coast. I really hadn't fathomed it being the opposite effect, as more so East Coast affecting West Coast artists. So it was dope to hear that perspective, and also the artist you chose.
right.
Because
Okay.
a lot of times people love Snoop for the songs and the hits he make, but I don't think a lot of people actually hold Snoop in high regards, as dope as he is to use his voice and know how to make songs. So it was
Right.
dope to get that perspective from you.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure that I answered, the
Oh
question.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Maybe to just add to that real quick to kind of maybe blow your mind a little bit more.
Mhm.
So even Master P in them, like No Limit, that
Right.
was another big influence on me. But so to get into about the RJ Payne thing. Um, so with him, it's like we kind of like I tell Payne, I said, bro, you're a producer, but you don't give yourself credit for that. Like the
Mhm.
way me and him, the way we work with each other is like it's like, yo, I'm putting together what he needs, but he's also letting me know, like, hey, bro, like I need you. Because when we first started making music together, it wasn't like what people know now.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like we had like, but this is before he was who he is now. This is when he was still Rain Man. You know what I mean? The battle
Yeah.
rapper. Some people know him as the battle rapper Rain Man.
Yeah.
But so our earlier music, it was I kind of want to say a little bit. It was soulful,
Right.
conscious. He had some battle bars in there too, but I felt
Right.
like it might have been a little bit more busy
Okay.
than a little bit more busy than what our current collaborations are as far as the sound goes. And You know, I think it just came from just over time, and really with him, like, knowing what he want. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, for me as a producer, bro, I feel like it's a collaborative effort when I'm working with an artist. So then when we first started working with each other, man. It was, it's funny because it was like he had did something with a friend of mine actually, and a friend of mine actually had paid him for a feature,
Right.
and Payne had heard the production that my homie was rapping over, and at that time it was like a lot of the East Coast producers was chasing a sound that didn't sound like the East Coast sound. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It was the snap stuff, the trap stuff, and all that. And I feel like that's when like that sound was really like kind of starting to, um, you know, but really become a thing. And so it was like a lot of the producers they was chasing that, so they completely like ditched the East Coast sound
Yeah,
to
they did.
chase that. You know, I stayed with it. You know what I mean? And it was funny because it was like same guy that gave me the name Midas Touch, right? My older
Mm.
friend. But it was like him and like a lot of other people, they would be like, yo, man, yo, you need to get with this. You need to start doing this. Like this is what people doing now. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, that's what they doing, but that don't do nothing for me. So I'm
Right.
not gonna chase that because I'm not making the music for whatever purpose y'all might think that I'm making it for. Like I'm trying to get something out of it. And not just
Right.
money, but a feeling. Like, you know what I mean? Integrity is something that I always try to maintain when I'm, working. Is like I have to do something that I love. I have to care about it. You know.
Right.
So um so I was still doing it. You know what I mean? I was still doing the sound, and I'm keeping 100 with you, bro. It was like, man, people was making me feel like I was an 8 track. You know what I'm saying? Like I was an 8 track in the, you know what I mean? I'm just like,
Oh,
yo, man, you with them old
I
school.
feel you.
Yo, you
I
with
feel
them
you.
old school beats and all. And I'm just like, man, I'm like, listen, this sound is gonna come back. I told people that. I'm like, yo, this sound is gonna come back, and I'm gonna be the one with it still. So just so happened, my homie, he's from New York, from the Bronx, right? And he was still with the East Coast sound, right? And so, like I said, he was the one that paid Payne to do a feature. And so Payne was hearing the production that my homie was rapping over, which was my production, and Payne hit my homie. He like, yo, where you be getting your beats from, man? He said, because all the people that be sending me beats, it's like South beats. Like I can't find nobody with this sound.
Right. Right.
So my homie like, yo, I'm gonna patch you in with my guy. Like, y'all can, see if y'all can figure something out on some production or whatever. At the time, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't know who Payne was. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
And so, my homie was kind of like telling me, like, yo, there's somebody, I got somebody that I think you should work with. He's really dope. And was kind of like, introducing me or whatever.
Right.
So like, I'm gonna plug y'all with each other and just see if, what I'm saying, anything can come from me. Like he need the type of beats that you make. So I get on the phone with Payne, we talking, and he like, yo, man, I've been hearing the stuff that you've been doing. Like, can you send me a couple joints? You know what I mean? I want to do something with that sound. You feel me? So I'm like, yeah, I got you, right? So we get off the phone. I send him a plethora of beats, maybe like 75 joints, right?
Right.
Sometimes that worked in my favor. Sometimes it didn't. And what I
Yeah.
mean by that is like I don't know, like I like to send a bunch of beats because I feel like if I was a rapper, that's what I would want. I mean, don't send me no 5, don't send me no 10, send me a bunch. That's just for
Right.
me. Like that's how I looked at it. So some rappers they like that, some rappers they don't. I think it. I don't know. I really don't know. Like if you're a rapper and
Right.
you write music, why wouldn't you want a bunch of beats? I don't understand that, but I guess it's not for me to understand. So
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that. I mean, like, I think what it is, I don't know, maybe I'm speaking for other artists, other rappers. I think there's been times when you've gotten so many beats and they weren't good that you were like, you know what, I'm gonna slow down this intake of beats because I've gotten, let's say 70 from this other person and the majority I didn't like. So if I would have just did a less amount, I probably would have been able to give a quicker answer and then known this ain't where I'm going. So it was like, just give me a small batch, because then that small batch, I guess we could kind of tell where we going with this, if it's gonna be fire or not.
Right. But okay, so to that, right? For me, I look at it like
you got a reputation already. So like if you send me 100 beats, I'm cool, because I'm like, well, I know it's gonna be some joints in here. Let me just go through.
Right.
It's a reputation thing of like, you have to build that rapport with people, because like I said, I've gotten that folder and I was like, I don't like nothing in here. And then the person said, I want to send you another, can I send you another beat batch? And they send me another 30, 40, and I'll be like, I don't like that. So I was like, you know what? Just send me 3. And then you kind of, if you don't run into people like you and have a consistent base of people to go to, then you start really, you know what I'm saying? But like a Stu, my man Sam Brown, like there's people you can go to that you like, yo, send me whatever, you know.
Right. But I look at it like, I hear what you're saying, but I also look at it like you can do the same thing though. Like, so if I send 75, right? Well, 70 beats, should I say? If I send 70 beats,
right,
and the first 5 or 10, if you don't like them, ain't no point in listening to the rest of the 60. But if you do find some things within that first 5 to 10, then the extra ones, like, oh, okay, there's more. But again, like I said, there's been times where there's worked in my favor, then there's been times where it worked against me.
Yeah.
But I will say this: the times it worked in my favor has been times where it was like some of the biggest opportunities, like Inspect the Deck. You know what I mean? With me producing an album for him, that came from me showing him. Because this is the thing, right? Some MCs, they realize they like, okay, if he sent me all these beats,
right,
and it's a gang of heat, oh, this ain't by luck. Like, he really liked that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's how like that it works in my favor like that, because you might have a okay producer, right? And just by luck, he send you a pack of 5 to 10, and you hear some joints in there that you like, but he can't make more of that. So you see what I'm saying? So you're really not gonna get a whole lot out of it. But anyway, so back to the story. So I sent like a gang of beats to Pain.
It made me think of another question. That's why I'm like, man, this is good stuff you telling me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's I'm up here actually writing it, typing it down now. Like, man, I gotta make sure.
You want to ask it now? Or do you want me to go ahead and answer this, John?
No, you answered the question that I'll probably have for somebody else though. But that it was definitely good, some good insight.
Right.
But yeah. So as far as moving on to you being as far as the producer / rapper, you were rapping first, and now you still write, right? You still write. Me and you got a joint that we doing on our album,
bro. No,
but
that's the only rap I wrote, man, in probably like the last 4 years.
Okay, all right. So like, what's your preference with writing? Are you wrote it on the computer? Did you do it in your dome? How do you do it?
Nah. Phone, bro.
Oh, the phone. Okay.
Yeah. But I was a traditional like in the pad. But I sometimes I get the urge, bro. Like sometimes I get the urge to want to write. Sometimes, but like my passion is producing other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when I first started in music and as a rapper, like I didn't know that that's what it was going to be that, you know what I mean? And then, I started producing at a young age. And then when I did start producing, it was like I almost had like a it was like a Wu-Tang type of situation. And since I was like a RZA, and not to put myself on the same caliber as RZA, but it was like that because it was like I had a group, and it was like I used to be down in my mom's basement, and I had my studio down there, and it was maybe like 12 of us. We had a group with like 3 girls. They were singers. I had 2 cousins from Memphis, so they wanted a southern sound or whatever like that. And then I had like my brother and my friends. So everybody, now I'm sitting here making beats, bro, and everybody's walking around in like the studio just waiting for their turn, waiting to hear me make something that they can get. It was dope, you know what I mean? But I
Yeah,
started out like that. I started out like producing people, but at that time I was rapping way more than what I do now. But I was
that's
still like
how the Dungeon family was. That's how they got their
right,
name.
yeah, right,
Down the
yeah,
basement,
down the
Rico,
basement, yeah,
and all that.
yeah.
And then so now being that when you were making these beats for everybody from all these modes and styles, and you've been through, uh, kind of just seeing how music has changed over time. What's it like? Are you, drums first, sample first? How do you feel about beats with no drums? So where we at with that?
Oh, I make beats with no drums. You know, I'm like, there's no right or wrong way, as long as it's dope. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I never start my beats with the drums first. Now, I was never. And then the funny thing about that is because, like, essentially, you know what I mean, by heart, I drum. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and so, but it's like I don't know. For me, I like to get the melodies or the samples first because I feel like that's gonna tell me what the drums need to do. You know
Okay.
what I mean? And I remember I was talking to Apollo Brown about that one time. And he was just like looking at me like I'm bugging, like you know what I mean? Some
I was
producers are like that.
Kev Brown yesterday, he was like, drums first, man, drums
Yeah,
first.
some
So
producers are like
you get
that.
all these different remedies and energy. So yeah, keep going, man. Because people think it needs to be one way, but y'all talking, it gives other people other ways to
Yeah,
go.
yeah. It's man, like for me, like I said, I always start with the sample or like the melodies first, and then I let that tell me what the drums is gonna do. Like it's funny though, to be honest with you, when I was younger and I used to make beats, I did used to do drums first. I mean, I would mix it up, but and at that time too, I was still trying to. I hadn't like figured out my formula yet. I was still
Yeah.
trying to like find
Is that
but
because you saw somebody else do drums first? Like, and you was like,
no,
oh, drums first is what it is.
nah. Really, it was. Um, I don't know. It was like the drum machine that I had. You know what I mean? Okay, so let me see. Yeah, so it was like the drum machine that I had. I just enjoyed, and it wasn't. I ain't had no MP and none of that. It was like like a real drum machine. You know what I'm saying? And it was like but I just enjoyed that, like making the drums on it. Because like I said, at heart, I'm a drummer. So it was that. So I started out with the drums first, just doing that. You know what I mean? But again, like I said, I was just still trying to figure out my formula at that time. You know what I mean? But nowadays, though, um, it's always the sample or the melody first, and then I let that tell me. Because sometimes it's like, yo, it might not need no drum. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then it might, it might. And so I usually let the to me what I call the foundation as the sample or the melody. I let that dictate the rest of what else I need to do with it. You know what I mean?
And then how are you as far as incorporating like live instruments? I guess versus like, I know what I want to hear, so I'm just gonna rock out with this sample the way it is, or should I get live instruments? Because some people will be like, yo, it gotta be live, and some people are like, yo, the sample, man, I can mess with the sample sound. Some people like analog, digital, so on and so forth. So what's
Right.
your idea with that vibe of live instruments?
Yeah. I mean, both. I do both. You know what I'm saying? And but again, it's like, what does the beat call for? You know what I mean? But I will say this though. One thing that I like to do, if the track calls for it, and if it would allow it, should I say, I do like to take like gritty samples, right? And then maybe throw something on top of it. But something light, like maybe a
Right.
guitar or something, but something light to where you kind of getting a little bit of both. You know what I'm saying? Like taking that when you getting the gritty, that sound, but then you still getting some of the live instrumentation as well. You know what I mean? So sometimes I mix it up, you know. But again, no right or wrong way. as long as it sound dope. You know what I mean? That's really my motto. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think RZA is like dope at that. Like he can keep it very grimy, but he can get some live instruments
yeah,
going on there, but it doesn't lose the essence of what that heart of what RZA
right.
does. Keeps it grimy. So I think over the time it's been dope to see producers be more open minded to that. Like, oh,
Yeah,
yo, let me get somebody, my man, to come play the keys on this. Let me get this bass because I remember, man, we were stubborn a lot, like as coming up through the game, um, because of wanting to maintain the essence of the game. So it's like, nah,
no.
that ain't real. That ain't real.
But
They
see,
don't do that.
but that's when like the West Coast thing is like they was always for the most part always like live instruments. But
Yeah,
it was funny because with Dr. Dre, he
Mhm.
was using samples, but he would
Right.
just have them replayed live. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But so real quick, right? Hold on.
Yeah.
So real quick, there's a question you asked me earlier, and I was just kind of like, I asked you, did I properly answer the question? So you asked me the question about as far as my influence as far as producers, right? And I don't think that I really, you know, explain that, you know what I mean? But RZA, because you brought up RZA, so
Yeah. Go,
yeah,
let's go.
so when it moved from the Dr. Dre thing, which I don't want to say moved from it because that's always been there, but it was like after that, RZA, bro.
Yeah,
You know what I
RZA.
mean? Like it was RZA. It was just like when what he was doing, it was just like, yeah, like that. So to me, I would say, and like listen, for me, this is just me, right?
Yeah.
So, because I could be wrong about this, but for me, I feel like he's like the godfather of like a certain type of sound, of like
Oh yeah.
those gritty soul samples, and the way especially even the drumless drums, like the way he would put it together. I feel like he's like the godfather of that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I always loved, one of my favorite Biggie records is Long Kiss Goodnight, and that's a RZA beat.
Yeah, yeah. That
That
that puff polished up.
man, when that beat
Yeah,
come on, that la 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 la, and that
yeah,
man, I love that beat, and it was dope to hear that collaboration, and so I definitely I get it. But RZA, man, I just watched the Drink Champs interview yesterday. It's like 4 hours long, but worth watching. It doesn't.
yeah.
It's not like you watch it and you be like, it's taking man. It's super dope to watch.
Yo,
So
bro, like he's like a, what do you call it? Like a professor almost. Like whenever he talk, it's just like, yo, he's gonna say something that's worth hearing. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So it's like when like it's whenever he's talking, it's like, yo, I need to sit down because he's gonna say something. You know what I mean? That I needed to hear. I'm gonna get something from it. You know what I mean? But yeah, so
so
just to go to that, it was like RZA was, as far as producers goes, like RZA was definitely like one of my big influences.
So now that you've worked with RJ Payne, Inspector Deck, you worked with me, Mickey Fax. I mean, you worked with so many artists. What are some of your preferences in the studio? Do you prefer the artist show up with the lyrics, or write in the studio? What is that preference as far as you being that
You know
producer?
what? Honestly, bro, like if I'm in the studio and I'm working with an artist, it's cool if they have the lyrics, but I really would like for them to come up with the lyrics in the studio.
Word. Okay, I didn't
Yeah,
know. Yeah, I didn't
like,
know that.
yeah. Like if this is if we're in the studio together working,
Right.
I definitely would love like all the lyrics and everything to be created. Like when we doing it all in real time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I like it that, you know what I mean? I like it to be done that way. If they got the lyrics already, like I said, that's cool too. But I think it just feels different because it's like we all created this right now. It
Do
feels
you
like
feel
that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and do you feel like that helps bring in your producer aspect of it as opposed to you just being a beat maker and just making it? So now I'm here, we're putting it together, I'm able to produce it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I could still do that even if they have the lyrics, or because I do that now, like even when I'm
Right.
working through emails and then when I'm not in the studio with the artist, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does help though. Like if I'm there and then they writing, because now I'm like, yo, we should talk about this. We should do this right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
does help in that aspect. You know what I mean?
yeah. And also like working with you has been dope because I'll do a song, I can write it out, knock it out, I'll send it to you, and then once you get the song and like, yo, I can send it to you with no hook, and then you'd be like, send it back to me with the perfect hook. I'm like, woo, this joint crazy now. You know what I'm saying? Or yo, because that's the other thing I've learned over time is that I just try to say, I guess I go with this line that I've been saying, it's like I can't see everything, so like I can see things to an extent, and sometimes I've seen enough to make the record be what it is, but I don't mind getting your insight on it, right?
Right,
Like so
right.
I was saying, it's almost like sometimes as an artist or as a producer, you can't see the snipers in the bush.
Mm,
Sometimes somebody else can see the
right,
sniper and be like,
right.
chill, 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 don't go right there. Somebody's
Right.
over there. So I feel definitely from working with you, I've definitely been able to experience the fact that you're able to be like, yo, do this hook here, we should do this or add this. I'm gonna send it to you like this, and give that guidance. And it's like well respected with the guidance. And so when you're in the studio and you're doing that production, how do you typically come up with the ideas for the tracks? Is it just you hear it sonically, or is that writer that's in you takes over?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's both, man. Because as a producer, um, I feel like as a producer, you gotta kind of have a little bit of the artist in you to, you know, be able to know what to do with a song. Like, you know what I mean? Then just know what's gonna make it sound good. You know what I mean? And so it's like it's both. So it's just kind of like if I got a beat, the beats probably say, yo, to me the beat might, especially if it got a vocal sample in it, the beat might inspire something like, yeah, like the beat is telling me that this is what's needed
Yeah.
for it. You know what I mean? Or me and the artist, we might be in the studio, the beat might be playing whatever, we might be in the studio and just talking about something. Or somebody might be around us and they might be talking about something. And he's just be like, oh, yo, I like that. That's a good, like, we can use that. Like, that's a good topic for a song. Like, let's turn something, let's make something out of that. You
Right.
know what I mean? So, that's how I usually come up, get my inspirations as far as, what actually producing the songs and coming up with what ideas, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you have that? Do you feel you're creatively free? And what I mean by that is being that producer that if a singer is there and they know how to sing, you don't mind like maybe singing a melody, even if you sound bad. But you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you can sing a melody and lay it down, and then when that person sing it, it sound fire. Like people don't get
Right.
that. Sometimes they're like, "Nah, I don't want to sound stupid. I don't want to sound crazy." Nah, I'll
Oh,
be like,
I ain't gonna record myself singing. You know what I mean? If that's what you're asking me, like, nah. But I'll do it. I'll sing it to them. I'll
"Yeah,
hum a
yeah,
melody or whatever like that
okay,
to them. But I ain't about to record it though, because man, anybody about to use that? Anybody about to? Oh yeah, you know how nowadays, bro, on the internet, the references and all types of stuff just be coming out of
yeah."
like nowhere. Like, you know what I mean? Like, here's the original reference to the song with Dre singing
Oh,
on it. And, oh, here this goes. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I think I've done that, but it wasn't singing though. It was like, because I've came up with hooks for
right,
songs that I've produced, but it was like rap hooks,
yeah,
and I'll record it and then tell the artist like, hey, here's this. This is what I came up with. You can change some lyrics or just take off what I did and just re-say it, whatever like
right,
that. Because like I do it that way. But as far as like a singing joint, yeah, nah, I ain't. I'll like I said, if the artist is there, I'll
right,
come up with an idea or whatever like that. And as far as you asking if I feel free, like yeah, for the most part, you know what I'm saying. But it also has to do with the artist that I'm working with. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it get kind of tricky, bro. Like it's like, yo, I pride myself on being a producer. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like not just a beat maker, but a producer. And so you got certain artists, they're so used to working with beat makers that they don't understand like the aspect of like being produced. They think like
Yeah.
I have to do it all. Give me the beat, and I'm gonna do it all. And I'm like, yo, bro, that's not really what I'm here for. I'm gonna give you the beat, but I'm here to. My part is also to produce, you know. But some artists, bro, they don't really like, you know what I mean. Like I said, so I'm like, all right, well, if this is the way you want to create, you know what I'm saying, people are gonna hear the difference when I'm working with somebody that don't mind being produced or mind the producer having some hands on with the ideas and things like that. You know, I feel like it's you can hear the difference. In my opinion, you can hear the difference in the music. Because, you know, when I'm actually producing something, I feel like, you know, not to sound repetitive, but it sounds produced.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, other things, sometimes the stuff just sounds like freestyles, you know what I mean? To me.
Yeah.
And
I
so
think your song sound completed. That's what I would
right.
say.
Right,
That's what
right.
I
Sound
say.
like a complete song, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. From working with you doing a song, I feel like if I do my part as far as the verse, you got the beat, and depending on what the hook is, we come up with a hook, or and you know, you might like the hook, you might not like the hook. I still feel like eventually the song is going to sound completed just based off your integrity of making sure that the song is going to be dope. So, that's never nothing to worry about as far as that. So, how long does it take for you to make a beat then?
It depends. It depends. Yeah, it depends on like what type of beat that I'm making. You know what I'm saying? And it also depends on yeah, it depends on what type of beat that I'm making, how I'm going about it. You know what I mean? Like if I'm doing loops, if I'm like chopping something like into loops, then man, about 15, about 15 minutes.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I'm like, bro, I work like this, like you know
that's
what I mean. I'm
great.
like a factory over here. But
Yeah.
you know,
Now I was
if
gonna
it's
say
more,
I've heard that vibe from producers just hearing their time frames, but
yeah,
I've heard some time frames that blow my mind like yours is did. But then I was told, well, if you think about how long you guys have put into making beats, you
right. You
you
know,
sort of
it's
mhm.
funny you say that, right? It's because man, sometimes I'll be a little like tough on myself because I'm like, man, I seen Alchemist say this too about the beat that he did, the realest joint that he did for Mob Deep, right? And how the joint that got Coogee rap on it. But yeah, he was like, man, people love that beat. He was like, but I feel like I didn't get busy because he was like, it was so quick. It was a loop, like it was so quick. You know what I mean? But and so it's kind of like that.
I think he just gave Erica Badu that beat too.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah, right?
absolutely. And then she added some spice to it at the end.
Okay.
But but yeah, so it's like you know, I go through that sometimes, bro. Like I might make something, and I'm like, this beat is hot. I'm like, I really like the beat a lot. I'm like, but man, I didn't like spend enough time on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but then at the same time, it's just kind of like how you said, it's like you know, but it took me a long time to be able to do this though. It didn't take me a long time to actually sit down and make this beat, but it took me a long time to get to the point where I can do something like this so fast. It's like, you know, what I mean, like if you've been doing something for a long time, you should be able to. If you're a mechanic, you've been fixing cars for almost 30 years, it shouldn't take you as long as a person that might have just started fixing cars.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But some beats, though, like I said, it depends
Yeah.
on you know what all I'm doing, and Because some beats might take me longer than that. Some beat, I think at the longest a beat has ever taken me to make, maybe about 40 minutes, no
And
longer
then
than an hour.
and then how do you know when that beat is finished and like ready for mixing and mastering? How do you be like, that's enough to it's it, that's it, the cake is
Okay,
baked?
so all right, so look, right. Um, it's really a feeling that I get, you know what I'm saying, with the beat. It's really a feeling. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I'm like, okay, yeah, this feels right, right? But I also feel like the beat isn't done until the verses get on.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like majority of the time, I feel like the beat isn't done for me at least until the verses get on it. Right?
Because then you're gonna add after the verses are on it.
I might add or take away. You know what I'm saying? Because it's been beats, bro. Especially when I'm working with Pain. It's like if like you might hear a beat that I've done for him with him rapping on it, and I'm like, bro, but there was so much going on. I was like, we had way more going on with the beat than what y'all hear. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so it's kind of like that. It's like, when the artists put their part on it, now I can go through and say and then finalize things, put drops in the beat or and then we were speaking about live instrumentation earlier, right? Even then,
Right.
I might be like, okay, well, we're gonna go in, I'm gonna call up somebody, have somebody do some guitar, or we're gonna add some things here and there. So it's like just on a surface level, yeah, I feel like the beat is done when I just feel like it's right. You know what I mean? But in my head, it's always like, but when the artists put their part on it, then that's when I'll go back in and really, really finalize it. You know?
And then what's it like as far as what you creating? So do you like to make beats in the morning time, afternoon, nighttime? Does it need to be quiet, rowdy? You know how some people be like, they need people in the studio making noise, drinking and all these
Yeah,
other stuff.
nah, that's a distraction for
What's
me, bro.
what's your vibe? What's your vibe for the studio? Or just creating?
Right, just creating. For me, preference. My preference is some solitude. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like I like some solitude. I don't mind. Because when I first started, I was making beats with like a bunch of people around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then like that phased out just due to life and things happening and stuff.
Yeah.
And um and so now when I make my stuff, it's just me. You know what I mean? It's just me or like my lady.
Right.
You know what I mean? But most of the time it's just I'm in my zone. You know what I mean? And it's like one thing that I don't I feel like I wouldn't that I don't really like much about having a bunch of people around is because they want to be the beat maker too. You know what I mean? I'll just be like,
Yo,
yo,
you should, do the snare
yeah.
like,
Bro,
yo.
listen, I'm gonna tell you something. Right? People always ask me, like, yo, man, or why don't you do beats on live? Go live, make beats on go live, right?
Yeah.
I tried it, bro. I tried it one time, and I knew why I didn't do it before I did it. But I'm like, you know what? Let me at least give it a try, just for the sake of saying that I gave it a try. And
Yeah.
I did it. Making a beat live. And then all in the comments, hey, bro, yeah, you should use a different hi hat. Do this, do that. And I'm just like, yo, like this is the part that I don't like, right? Like I'm making this beat. I don't need you. And then especially, when it's like, are you okay? You can get
Oh,
good you can get good ideas from anybody. So I'm gonna say that first and foremost, right? And this isn't like to for me to sound too cocky or whatever, but it's like you're watching me for a reason, right? Like
right.
you watching me make this beat for a reason. Like I mean, unless you somebody that's been doing this or whatever, and just happen to log on or whatever and watch what I'm doing. But other than that, it's like, yo, you're here in my space instead
Right.
of being over somewhere you doing making the beat yourself. You're here in my space for a reason because of what I do. So just let me do it. You know what I
Right.
mean? You're you're not like you're here to watch me. Let me do what I do. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like the same with when I'm saying about artists that sometimes they don't let the producer produce. It's just like, bro, like you call me for a reason. I mean, let me. I mean, I don't mind ideas
Yeah,
and
I know what
like
you're
that,
saying. I know you're
but
saying.
like let
I
me do
mean,
what I do.
it's funny because like going live, I'm going live and rap going live before, and people do give their opinions with it. I guess it's kind of like, I guess it's wild. You got me thinking about it. I think that's why most producers I've seen go live making beats be sideways.
What you mean?
They're never reading the comments.
Oh, right. Yep.
That
Like,
profile,
yep.
their profile is sideways
Yep.
because they just making the joint and they don't care about what's
Care what's
going on in
being
the
said,
comment.
right? And see,
Yeah,
for me, it's like if I'm gonna go live, which I mean that's something to think about because Knox he be doing it like that.
he's sideways, right?
Yeah, yep. Knox,
Stu Bangles is sideways.
yep,
That guy K Fresh is sideways. Everybody is
yeah,
sideways, so that way they're not even focusing on comments until they want to look.
right. And so that that's something for me to think about because it was
Yeah,
just like,
you got me. You made me think about it because
right.
that's funny. You said that. You had me laughing right here, crying,
Because like
laughing.
if I for me, I don't know, it's just like to be honest with you, it's like if I'm a go live, the
Yeah,
purpose is to engage. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because that's how I look at it. Like if I'm gonna make a beat live and not engage with the people, then I might as well just record this video of me making the beat and post it. Because it's essentially the same thing. That's just how I look at it. It's like live. I mean, I'm here to engage. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And so,
I get it both ways. I get it
yeah,
both
yeah,
ways.
me too.
I mean,
Me,
I saw a video with Just Blaze making beats live in front of I saw that on YouTube, and there was an audience right there in front of him watching him do it, and
the
nobody
sprite
said
when he had like the sprite.
yeah,
Um,
with the
that was
class.
his rhythm roulette joint, I believe.
Right, right. And uh I mean people were there, they didn't say anything. I think it's just if you want to do it, you do it, and whatever way is best for you and suitable, you ride out with it.
Yeah, because I would definitely like to do stuff like that more, bro. But I'm just kind of at the same time, it's like yo, don't disrupt my flow. Like if that
Yeah.
happens, then there's no point of us even like doing this. You know what I mean?
So speaking of like disrupting the flow, what do you think about like the use of AI? Do you like AI beats? Do you think I think do you think you have to kind of get used to using AI? Do you think
Bro, you know what? I'm gonna be all the way honest with you, right? I feel like folks got to keep up with the times, man.
I agree.
You know what I mean? I feel like folks got to keep up with the times, bro. And like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've used it to
Right.
create samples. I mean, it'll help me out. I don't gotta go worry about clearing no sample. I don't gotta like. It helps me out as a sample based producer, so I can go create my own samples now, and it still sounds like a traditional sample, and I can chop that up and use it. And now I don't gotta worry about no issues or nothing like that. I mean, you still getting the same thing from me that you was gonna get anyway. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's just like it's a time and place and a way to use things. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I feel like it's like I'm gonna keep 100 with you, bro. Like I've been seeing, and maybe some of your viewers, man, they might slaughter me for this, but I've been seeing people, having an issue with Alchemist and Erica Badu for the cover for the song they just released
Oh, I
because it was.
haven't
Yeah,
seen the cover.
because it was a big thing, bro. Like a
I'm gonna
big
check it
thing
out.
about that
Find out.
because because they said they used AI to make the cover art in the visualizer for the song. I'm like, so what? I mean, in
And
my opinion,
so many people have done it and just not have said it. People are
right,
doing it all the time, man.
right.
People,
I'm just like, I mean, oh, you could have. Like, you could have commissioned a real person to do that for you. And yeah, true. But imagine how many real people that they've already commissioned to do it. I mean, it's just like Alchemist just says, like, man, y'all on here complaining about everything other than the thing that we actually do, the music. You're talking about artwork, but you're here for the music. How do you feel about the music?
yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's getting to that point of you got to just kind of flow with it. I remember a famous DJ, man. I remember landing in what was it? Was it Medford? It was might be Medford, uh, Connecticut, something like that. Whatever, Connecticut, Boston. Was going to do a show. This famous DJ had mad like 30 crates come off plane. Like he had to pay for those crates, as part of, I guess it may have came out of his fee from the promoter paying for all these crates to come do the show. And I remember saying like, yo, you don't think about doing CDJs? And his thing was, nah, I like the crates when I walk in the building and feel like I'm about to put on a show. He liked this whole aesthetic of the crates. And then now that DJ ain't doing that no more. That
Right.
DJ straight CD laptop,
Yeah. Right.
But I do remember, talking to the DJ thinking like, that's that mindset you have and for a second, and then you realize I gotta switch up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? This play ain't working no more, man. We try to run the ball 3 times already, man. We gotta
And a
throw the
little
ball.
bit of it has to do with feeling like you got a point to prove.
There you go. Right,
You know what I
right,
mean? And it's
right.
like, I proved my point already. I've been producing for almost 30 years. I proved
Yeah,
my point already. This DJ that you're talking about, I'm pretty sure they've been DJing for at least 20 years.
yeah.
You proved
Famous.
you proved the point already. We know what you can do. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, bro. Like I said, my only thing, no, I will say this. Where I will have a problem with it is if it's to imitate someone else.
Well, I was just talking about that yesterday. They do I'll send you this link. They got companies now signing artists, signing people to make songs for big name artists using their voice. And then they just send them the song and then they sign off on the song and use it. But we'll I'll send you that, man, and you get to check that out. I wanna definitely I want to, after you see the video and everything, I want you to, hit me back and let me know what you think. Um, so when you're creating a song, what do you prefer first? Do you prefer that the verses are laid or that the hook is laid by the artist?
It depends on if the artist is doing both. So for me, the way I construct my beats, like I always construct my beats with the hook first,
Okay.
right? And I feel like because I feel like that's what's gonna like pull people in.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if they hear that hook, they come on, or even like a sub chorus or something like that. They hear something like that, boom, right from the beginning, it's gonna pull them in. Sometimes, I mean, not every song requires that, but it's
Right.
like sometimes the rapper might do that. Like what I'll do is like say if I'm producing a song and a rapper says something like right at the beginning of their verse, that's like whoa, that's gonna catch you. I'm
Yeah.
gonna reconstruct the beat and like take the hook out, and then we're gonna start with that first. You know what I'm saying? Because the rapper they're saying something that's gonna pull you in off top. You know what I mean? But yeah, a lot of times when I'm constructing my beats, I usually construct them with like a hook type of situation first. You know what I mean?
So what about like when you get the song back from another, I guess if you're working with an artist in the studio, you get the song back from them. I mean, yeah, in the studio, that's what I've heard mostly. If you're in the studio with them and they're coming up with the situation right there, do you want to say like, yo, let's work on the hook first and then we can write the verse later, or you don't matter which order they do it?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It don't matter. I do like to have the topic first.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I do like that to have the topic first, because you know that be an issue sometimes with certain artists, man, where they be rapping but don't be like talking about nothing. They just rapping, just I'm just rapping and not really talking about nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I'm like, to avoid that, it's like, man, let's make the song about something. Let's make it about this. You know what I mean? Let's have a topic for it. So I prefer that at least.
And then in the studio, what's the equipment you got? What's your setup?
Well, at home I got like a basic setup just for, like I said, because I don't record nobody at my house.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, but like when I'm working with an artist in studio, I go to a big studio and just bring my machines or whatever, laptop and thing. I bring that to the big studios when it's called for it. But like when I'm just at home, I mean, I don't have a whole bunch of like super expensive like gear and all that type of stuff, because like I said, I'm not recording nobody. I have a microphone just in case I need to record some ideas and things like that. But I just got the basics at the house though, you know what I mean? I got my studio monitors, my laptop, my keyboards, my MIDI boards, should I say. I got my MIDI boards. Then I got a machine, MK1 and the MK3. I got the MK3. It's still, boy, I've had the MK3 for 5 years. Okay. Right? It's still in my closet, in the box.
What are you gonna do?
I haven't even opened it. It's just there. It's just there. It's crazy because I'm gonna be honest with you. I seen knots with that joint. I seen knots, and I seen Knife Wonder with the MK3, the machine MK3, and I was just like, I was working on the MK1, and I'm like, I like the flow, I like what I'm doing, but I'm seeing them work on it, and I'm just like, man, I need to get me one of them, bro. As funny as it's gonna sound, I need to get me one, even if I ain't gonna use it, just to have it, like just in case, so if I ever want to use it, you know what I mean? It's been sitting in the closet like this whole time.
Can it do everything the one do? Can the 3 do everything the one do?
Right. But I mean, it does have like a few different functions though. But they're not. I feel like they're not important enough for me to ditch the 1 and go over to the 3. You know what I mean? I am waiting. There is something that I'm waiting on that's gonna make me ditch the MK1 whenever Native Instruments decide to make it. And that's a real standalone, like a true standalone machine. Because they got one. It's called the Machine Plus, right?
Okay.
But the thing that I don't like about it is you have to plug it in. And it don't come with like a speaker, like the Akai, what's it, the MPC Live 2, if I'm correct. They got it. They got a speaker on it, and it come with a battery already. So you can go just in the middle of the woods, bro. You don't need no laptop. You don't need nothing with that joint, and you can cook up. You know what I mean? But I'm a Native Instrument guy. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, and it got a screen on it.
Got a screen, got everything, got the screen on it, got the speaker already attached to it, it's battery powered, all that. And so you can just go wherever and work. You know what I'm saying? But the machine, they ain't made nothing like that yet. And it was supposed to be a standalone, but like I said, you still gotta plug it up, and it don't got no speaker neither. So it's just like, well, it's not really a standalone. It's defeating the purpose. You know what I mean? And I've thought about it, and I might, but I've thought about, switching to the MPC Live, But it's like, I don't know, bro. It's kind of like I like my workflow.
Yeah, I think that's all that matters. If
Yeah,
you know, if it worked for
I
you
like
and
I like my
fire.
right. I like my workflow. My homie actually, when you talking about the studio, like he's a producer too out here. He's a guy. He works with the NPCs. You know what I mean? So it's like we'll be in the studio. We'll be talking about different things of, how he worked with the NPC and how I'm working with it. Because I use the like I said, the machine, but I also use FL Studio too. I use FL Studio 11. Like that's the GOAT FL Studio to me. Like I've tried the other ones and deleted all them joints off my computer. I'm like, I feel like the FL Studio community collectively, for the most part, all agree that FL Studio 11 is like the best one. Some people say 10, but majority of us agree that FL Studio 11 is just like the best one. You know what I mean? Like the workflow is the best, and it's just, I don't know, it's the best one.
Yeah,
But
for
that's
those
usually what I use.
those people that's watching, let us know in the comments if you like FL Studio 11 is the best one, or what's your setup and what you like to work with after hand PA Dre's studio setup. So let's talk about something you've been working on, which I think is going to be super enlightening, motivational for a lot of producers. You've been writing a book about PA, kind of autobiographic, with also giving some producer tips in it.
Right.
Why do you think this is important? As far as adding to going from not only a producer now about to be a published author with it. Why do you think it's that time to do this?
First I gotta say peace to you, bro. I gotta say peace to you for like sparking the whole idea. You know what I'm saying? Because you really sparked that idea for me to even do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
thanks, man. I just see I see how dope you are, and then I'm just in this realm of seeing so many other avenues for us that I was like, man, you so dope with it. Like, there's so much people could learn, and as they watch this, I'm sure they learn it now. But yeah, so like, tell us a little bit about the book and the direction of it.
Right. So it's a little like autobiographic,
right?
But it's like a mixture because it's a lot that I didn't cover, but it's a lot that I did.
Right.
Because it's like, I'm giving like some things that made me who I am, that led to me being a producer. And you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's hot out this joint. But yeah, so I'm giving some of that, but I'm also giving like, producer tips or my flow, or just in my mind. And so it's like, I would say this, right? I'm kind of, I guess you could say, it just depends on what I'm doing. I'm kind of an introvert, right?
Right.
So people don't hear from me a lot. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like the people that I'm working with, like you, and people that know me in real life, they know my life story. You know what I mean? And they know how I think. And it's just like talking to people, and people always tell me like, yo, man, like, you should do this more. You should talk more. You should share this because people would appreciate knowing these things.
For sure.
And I'm just like, yeah. But I'm like, I feel like a book, or putting a lot of stuff in the book, will help with that as well. Where if I'm not, like I said, Apollo Brown, bro, he told me, he said, man, you need to step from behind that camera. You know what I mean? You say, start talking to the people more, like you should, because people want to know, they want to hear you, like, you know what I mean? They want to see you more and stuff like that. That's one thing Apollo Brown was telling me, like, not too long ago.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so it's that, you know what I mean? They, at the same time too, it's just like, I think it's important, bro, like to have that book, because you just never know, man. Like, you never know who you inspire, man. And and I don't obviously have the time or capability to talk to everybody that that may be inspired by me. You know what I mean, bro? Like, and so people will appreciate that. You know what I mean? That's to be able to sit down and read this, and not even just like fans, which I don't really like using that word. You know, I'd
Right.
like to say supporters. But my kids though, you know what I'm saying? Like this for them as well. Like my kids and just for my lineage. You know what I'm saying? For like when my time is done here. You know what I'm saying? And my lineage, my great grands or whatever like that. You know what I mean? They can hear who I am from me.
Right.
By just picking up this book and just knowing like, hey, this is what you come from right here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just getting these stories, man. It's just like with my pops, one thing that's beautiful, man, is, you know, growing up, I got a lot of stories from my dad, you know,
Right.
his music life, you know what I'm saying? Because like even just like it, man, it's like I said, you know, if I was to really write a book, like just telling my whole life story, it has to begin with my dad.
Yeah.
But because of his story of the things that he went through and how that led up to me, you know, being like who I am. You know, my dad was a traveling musician. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I was supposed excuse me. I was supposed to be born in Japan. You know what I mean? Like that, even just that part of my story is crazy. Like, you know, my dad was over in Japan, you know, he was on tour. My mom was pregnant with me. You know what I'm saying? And she was supposed to go over there and have me give birth to me there. But you know, I was ready. I was ready to enter this world a little earlier than what they had planned. So I was born in Memphis. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Yeah.
how
You
that
set
happened.
up the movie scene. You setting up the opening scene for the movie. You just, you know,
Right.
that's the opening scene for the movie.
Yeah. And then it's like, you know, just speaking on my father real quick.
Yeah.
You know, with him, he was there, bro. Like he was there. Like, and he gave it all up, man. He gave it all up for me to be a father. To be honest, it was like he was traveling so much, bro. And I know this ain't even a part of the question, but I'm just, you know,
It's all
adding
good,
that.
brother. It's all good, man. Yeah.
But you know, he was traveling so much. He came home one time, you know what I'm saying, from a tour. And you know, me and I got a brother that's 10 months younger than me. Needless to say, my parents didn't waste no time after they had me. But I got a brother that's 10 months younger than me. And so when my dad, you know, came home from tour one time, you know, I'm going up to greet my dad, you know what I mean? I'm hugging him, whatever like that. But my brother, my younger brother, was crying and he like wouldn't go to my dad. It's because he felt like he didn't know who he was. It's because my dad was being gone a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that bothered my dad. And he told my mom, he was like, well, listen, after I do this show, I'm not doing nothing. Like I'm not doing no more. Like anything that I gotta do, I'm doing it in Memphis. You know what I mean? I'm not traveling nowhere no more. I need to be around for my kids. I don't want my kids to like not know me. You know what I mean? So that was the start of him like giving up his music career. I mean, drugs played a part later on to where he was just done. But before the drug thing, it was more or less like, with my kids, I'm just gonna do local stuff and things like that. And so when I got older and he told me that, I made it a mission. I said, Dad, I'm gonna pick up where you left off at, and I'm gonna pay you back for giving this up for us. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make you proud. I'm gonna like I said, I'm gonna pick up where you left off at, and I'm gonna take it to where it needs to be. And you know, according to him, I did just that. You know what I mean? And I was like one of the greatest feelings in the world, man, for me. was giving my mom and my dad an envelope with money in it.
Yeah.
And was like, yo, I did it. You know what I'm saying? And seeing them cry and just being proud of me. And like, that was the moment. I'm like, I did it. Like what I told you as a kid that I was going to do, Pops, I did it. So from now, this point on, like so up until then, you know, outside of me, you know, loving music, that was my biggest motivation.
Right.
Was to pay my father back for what he did. Like that was my biggest motivation. And so it was like, all right, boom, I did it. I've worked with so many people that he knows, you know what I'm saying? And it was just like, he would hear, like, oh, you did something with this person, that person? Oh boy, you on your way. And you know what I mean? Stuff like that. But it was just like, when I hit them with that envelope, boom, here you go, Pops. Boom, here you go, Mama. Like, look inside. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? It was like, all right, from that point on, now it's this is about me. I did it. I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I you know, I accomplished what I said I was going to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? As far as, you know, what I was what motivated me as far as my father. And it's like, okay, so now it's about me, and not only is it about me, it's about my kids.
I agree, man. That's where we are in life, and you get to understand that as time keeps going on and ticking, and when you get to especially of a certain age, such as myself and a lot of us older artists and stuff, you start to realize the value of time and family and
Yeah.
understanding the essence of what this is all about, man. You know. So, yo, man, I want to thank you for coming on and finding time to do this, man. It's been, I would say, an honor working with you, doing music. An honor talking to you
Oh
as a friend,
man,
always
bro.
building with you. Because we don't even talk about music all the time. Sometimes just talk and just listen, and we build on different things. And
Right.
so I want to show my appreciation for you, and I'm sure everybody once they watch this, they're gonna be probably blown away about who you are as much as I am, and the reason why it led to me saying, yo, you should write a book and so on and so forth. So before we go, though, I do want you to give out your social media real quick.
Oh man, on all platforms at PA_Dre_beats.
Okay.
But by the way, I just want to clarify this. My name is not PA Dre Beats. My name is PA Dre, but on socials it's PA Dre Beats. So sometimes people, like, when they talking to me, like, oh, what's up, PA Dre Beats? And they think that's my name. You know what I mean? They think that, or they might think it's Padre and stuff. I'm like, yo, no, my name is PA Dre. You know what I mean? But yeah, on all socials, bro, it's at PA_Dre_beats.
Dope, man. So all of y'all out there, make sure y'all holler at him on Instagram and all the other accounts. If you need some beats, of course, this is the man with the beats. So like always, I like to say to y'all, peace. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, comment, everything. The like and subscribe, please do that. And then also, like always, ask y'all, what are your words worth? Peace, y'all.
Peace.
What up, y'all? Thanks for always watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button. A lot of y'all leave comments, which are dope, and I appreciate that. Just go back, hit that like and subscribe so the algorithms can, send this out to everybody else that's into what we into. Peace.